Kitase got isekai'd to a fantasy world every time he went to bed, and over there he was a high-level adventurer who sometimes got a beating from the monsters, till one day his elf companion followed him back to Tokyo. In his normal life, Kitase was a boring, bland human being who refused to put in any extra effort in his day job of being a salaryman. He was the type to pack up as soon as it was closing time and rejected his colleague's invitation to a department party. He arrived home and prepared a packed lunch. Cooking was not one of his hobbies, but he didn't dislike it either. The thing he valued more than anything was sleep. As soon as he closed his eyes, he got transported to another world full of swords and magic. He had been living this double life since childhood. After gathering his gear, he dodged an encounter with a sleeping monster and later met up with his elven companion called Marie. She belonged to the streets. Sorry, I had to. She belonged to the Sorcerer's Guild, and she teased him on his nomadic lifestyle. He just laughed it off and invited her to explore the Nozzle ruins with him. Marie was reluctant at first till he enticed her with the packed lunch he made earlier. The elf quickly followed him in hopes of getting the treat. The duo soon arrived at the ruins. It was an underground city that had perished suddenly 1,000 years ago. The place had advanced magic and was still in good condition, with none of the major signs that would hint to the fall of a civilization. It is one of the 7 unexplained mysteries in this world, and Marie didn't think his sleepy-looking eyes was going to solve it. She cast a light spell as soon as they entered, and they found a nice opening to have lunch. The elf excitedly opened the box, and the aroma sent her to a happy place. She took the first bite and started to fangirl like how you amazing people do when I upload a new video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Kitase gave her some tea to chase it down with. She had never seen food like this before. He told her that he was from a place called Japan, which was not on their world map. The duo continued through the corridors after their little break. Marie pulled him back when she spotted a monster and was stunned when Kitase dashed over and started having a conversation with it. She didn't know the monster's language, so she didn't understand a word they were saying. He told her that he learned it after encountering them so many times on his adventures. The creature informed him that the dragon that nested deep in the ruin was in its breeding season, so they should be careful. Kitase wanted to see its eggs, but Marie started a lecture about how dangerous dragons were. The two entered a dark area where the elf cast a night vision spell on Kitase. The guy could now see the sleeping dragon below. Marie guessed that it was an arc dragon based on its color and the density of magical energy around. She made some more loud comments which woke up the ancient creature. Their path of escape was blocked by some steel bars that suddenly came crashing down. Kitase held tightly onto Marie as the dragon towered over the duo and blew a gust of fire which engulfed them. Kitase woke up in his bed and fell out of it when he noticed that Marie was next to him. This had never happened before. He sat on the floor, stunned, till the sun woke her up. He quickly rushed to the store to get her some modern clothes and concluded that the world he visited during his sleep was real. Kitase returned to find Marie awe-stricken by the new realm she found herself in. He was surprised by how excited she was. This triggered him to suggest that they go see some cherry blossoms since it was the season. Marie quickly got changed and wore a hat to cover her elf ears because they didn't exist in the modern era. Marie was terrified during her first trip in a car. The duo arrived at a restaurant to get food as they figured out how all of this happened. Kitase guessed that he brought her back to his world when he held on to her. Sleep and death were the 2 ways he returned to his world. He suspected that the reason he was a lot younger in the fantasy realm was either time flowed differently between the 2 worlds, or only the time he spent there counts toward his growth. The elf was shocked to learn his age, and noted how this explained why he always seemed so reliable. They paused their conversation to enjoy the meal. After that, they went to see cherry blossoms, which the elf loved. Kitase thought this was the perfect way to say, "Welcome to Japan, Ms. Elf." She later wondered what would happen to her if she couldn't return to her world. Kitase blushed as he stated that they could live together and have fun exploring Japan, since the country was full of culture and food. She didn't mind living such a life. The 2 returned home, and Kitase made dinner while the elf freshened up from all the walking. She was drawn by the aroma when she came out. The guy plated the food, and the delicious taste almost knocked her out. As they ate, Kitase disclosed that he was only allowed to take his lunch and drink to the fantasy realm. Everything else he tried to take over the years didn't work. After hearing his explanation, Marie thought that someone might be monitoring what he does and had decided on certain rules. The elf even went as far as to suggest that Kitase had some sort of mission he needed to accomplish in the fantasy world. She questioned him about his first trip, but he couldn't recall any objectives that were given to him. They swiftly moved on to the major problem. He told her that they would wake up in the exact place they disappeared from, which was the Arc Dragon's nest. He pulled out a textbook so that they could come up with a way to escape this encounter alive. The mythical creature possessed greater intelligence than people. It had an endless supply of magical energy because the act of breathing generated so much. According to legends, it could easily destroy islands and raise volcanoes with its power, and it had won countless battles against humans and demons. Kitase was more interested in simple facts about the dragon. Marie remembered some tales stating that it had taken human form and gone to the port town of Osloy for a few days, but no one knew what for. Kitase suspected he knew the reason it went there. He opened his fridge and let out a knowing smile. It was time for sleep, and the two went to bed holding each other in hopes that they would be able to go back to the other world together. They fell asleep and found themselves at the same spot they were supposed to meet their demise. The dragon attacked them with its tail this time, but Kitase evaded with Marie. As soon as the dust settled, the guy introduced themselves and apologized for trespassing in its nest. He explained that they only wanted to see her eggs and begged for her to allow them to go free. Kitase completed his groveling when he presented the dragon with a chilled bottle of beer. He had been to Osloy before and knew that the town was only known for its excellent ale. He opened it, and the archdragon gave it a sniff. She finally spoke and found Kitase to be strange. The guy spoke the language of lesser dragons and knew about her love for ale. She was certain that she blasted them away the previous day and couldn't believe that they were in front of her unhurt. The creature was willing to spare their lives if he told her how this was possible. Marie collapsed to the floor in relief when Kitase told her that they would be forgiven. The elf lit up the area as they went down to the lower level. Kitase told the dragon about how he came to their world and Marie's recent visit to Japan. She found it intriguing and gave them a chance to view her eggs. The creature could smell the packed lunch he made as it was warmed up by the heat in the room. The archdragon transformed into its human form so that it could enjoy the food and drink. She introduced herself as Ridra. She offered to give Kitase one of her dragon scales in exchange for his lunch. He accepted the offer because Marie hinted to wanting one earlier. The elf was speechless when she heard the deal and disclosed how wars have been started over such scales because they are so valuable. Ridra enjoyed the food and drink, as she had never tasted such a high-quality meal like this before. I guess she has never met Mukoda. Marie quickly told him to make another trade for the second lunchbox when Ridra offered to give them an archdragon bloodstone. The ancient creature was so happy that she allowed them to go and gave them permission to come visit her again. She told them to bring 4 packed lunches next time. The elf couldn't believe the items they just secured and revealed that dragon's blood was effective against all illnesses. She warned Kitase to never let anyone know that they had such valuable items. From that encounter, the guy had figured out the great mystery of what happened to the civilization. 1,000 years ago, they tried to take Ridra's eggs. She chased them down to their city and sacked the inhabitants out of it before making it her new nest. Marie put the items in Kitase's bag for safekeeping, and they left the ruins to get food since they gave it all to the dragon. He was happy to hear that Marie wanted to go back to Japan with him after the meal. Their new arrangement soon became routine. Marie used an unorthodox method of learning Japanese through TV programs. Kitase came home from work and planned to make a fried dumpling meal for them to enjoy. Marie introduced herself in perfect Japanese as he rummaged through his fridge. Her goal was to be able to hold a conversation in 2 months. Kitase opened a bottle as Marie confessed to being a lightweight. The two relished the fried dumplings, and the elf got a little tipsy from just 1 glass of drink. After the meal, they started to have some small talk while Kitase washed up. Marie wondered where all their stuff from the fantasy world got stored while they were in Japan. He was not sure himself, as all his items were by his side and accounted for every time he returned there. Kitase changed the topic when he asked her where she would like to go next when they got back to the other world. The elf was stressed about a research report she had to write on ancient sorcery. She also had a lot of assignments from the guild she had to complete. Kitase suggested they investigate magic stones since they are linked to ancient sorcery. He knew of a site which was said to be a magic stone quarry. Marie was not excited to explore more ruins, but she was willing to go if he made packed lunches for the journey. The duo went to bed that night and found themselves back in the other world. Kitase informed her that they would be heading to the Uja Peak ruins, which was in a different country. The elf estimated that it would take them over a week by carriage to get there. The salaryman had a transportation skill that allowed them to make the trip in 20 minutes. He could only use it once a day and had a weight limit. As they traveled, he told Marie to stay close to him since it was his first time using it to transport someone. Once they arrived, he placed a flower from where they came from on a statue. The duo proceeded to the old quarry where magic items were made using its stones. The area was once an economic powerhouse, but for some unknown reason it became impossible to find magic stones to mine. The quarry quickly faded into obscurity, but some people who visited the ruin could still feel the power of the stones sleeping deep within the earth. Marie complained about the heat as it was in the middle of a desert. They pushed on and found some cover at one of the settlements. Kitasi could sense that someone was around, but he didn't alert the elf yet. The couple continued to explore and found an oasis which they used as the perfect backdrop to enjoy some of the leftover dumplings with fried rice. Marie disclosed how competitive the Sorcerer's Guild was. After the meal, they decided to check each other's level and skills. The elf was surprised by how high Kitasi's level was. The guy could see that all of Marie's skills were catered for spirit sorcery, which was a rare art form. The elf also noticed that Kitasi had the illusory swordsman job title, which she had never heard of. They went down to the water where Marie demonstrated some of her spirit magic by summoning a fire lizard. She could store attack spells within her creatures to use in later battles. The demonstration was interrupted when they were ambushed by a few Koopa. Kitasi used a movement skill to create openings as he dashed around the place. This allowed him to deal with the monsters with ease. A gang of bandits nearby watched on and were impressed with his skill. They were hoping that the creatures would take care of him. The bandit leader came out to take a closer look and used his appraisal ability to sense the valuable loot Kitasi had in his bag. He dragged out a half-beast kid called Miwi and made him attack the duo by summoning a powerful monster using a magic stone. Kitasi knew they were outmatched, and he couldn't escape using his teleportation skill since he had already used it earlier. All he could do was hold on to Marie as they got taken out by its blast. They woke up in Tokyo relieved to be still alive. Kitasi made them a warm drink to calm themselves. He finally told her about the people he sensed while they were fighting the Koopa and suspected they were bandits. He guessed they were currently looking for their remains and bags. Marie wondered what a half-beast kid would be doing with bandits. The salaryman noticed that the lad seemed scared and was probably being forced to attack people. It was a weekend in Tokyo, so they had time to recuperate and figure out a plan of action. The couple went out to further explore the city, but Marie felt distant to the spirits in the modern era. She assumed she just needed to interact with them more for her bond to strengthen. She also had a nice moment with a cat before they went to the library. Kitase took her there to get books that would help her with her Japanese. They picked out a couple of nice children's books for her to ease into the language. At the checkout desk, Kitase met an old acquaintance called Ichijo. She interacted with Marie and took a liking to her. The librarian noticed Kitase's address on his ID card as she checked out the books and commented on how she also lived in the same apartment building as him. The salaryman had told Ichijo that Marie was a relative who was visiting from overseas. The librarian wanted to be friends with the elf, so she invited them to dinner at her place. Kitase accepted the invitation and said their goodbyes to Ichijo before leaving. The duo returned home where the guy put on a DVD story for Marie to enjoy while he made some fluffy pancakes. He served it before the story ended, and the elf was so moved by the whole experience that it inspired Kitase to get dinner ready. Marie went through her first earthquake and got startled. She later apologized for her reaction, and Kitase also said sorry for not telling her that the country was prone to them. The elf liked the curry the salaryman made. After the food, they discussed their plan to deal with the bandits. Kitase was confident this time around because they could use his teleportation skill to escape. However, the duo wanted to save Miwi. Marie noticed that the lad looked like he belonged to the cat race. She disclosed that the cat people excelled at using magic stones. They came up with their plan, and Kitase later read a book to help Marie sleep. Miwi got a flashback to his grandfather showing him a gemstone that reacted to his touch. The old man told the boy about their species' ability to control magic stones. The one he was holding was of an exceptional caliber. Mining it woke up a creature deep within the earth which led to the destruction of their village. This forced their ancestors to flee to live in hiding from humans and monsters. The flashback ended as the duo returned. Their objectives were to rescue Miwi and drive off the bandits. Marie cast an invisibility spell and hid near a bush. She then summoned 10 fire lizards and had them burrowed into the sand. One of them shot a fireball to draw the bandits' attention towards Kitase, who was on a rooftop waving like a door-to-door salesman. The lookout reported their presence, and Miwi was brought out again to summon his monster. The fire lizards distracted the creature by shooting fireballs and disappearing into the sand like it was a game of whack-a-mole. All the while, Miwi was terrified and exclaimed for someone to save him, and as he called to his grandfather, Kitase appeared. The lad got startled and assumed that Kitase came for revenge. The guy confirmed that Miwi was a cat person who was captured. The salaryman assured the boy in his native language that he was not there to harm him. Miwi was surprised to see a human speaking the beast language. He narrated how he and his grandfather got attacked by the bandits. He was taken captive as the old man met his demise. Kitase offered him a hand and Miwi took it. Their moment was ruined by the bandits. The boss was grateful that Kitase returned and had already figured out that the guy specialized in transportation skills, which he used to escape with the elf. Kitase confirmed his theory and asked him to release Miui from his bondage. The boss was willing to crush the stone which would free Miui in exchange for the treasures in Kitase's bag. Kitase dashed in and destroyed the stone as soon as he got confirmation. The bandit leader got livid and ordered his men to attack. Salaryman told the Catboy to get to safety while he dealt with the incoming assault. He regrouped with Miui after sending one of the bandits' heavy hitters crashing down the cliff. The Catboy was impressed with his skills, prompting Kitase to reveal how he used it to create mirages of himself. He was sure that this was where the illusory swordsman job class came from. Kitase saw it as a weak ability, which is why he had perfected his talent to escape. Miui quickly introduced himself before Kitase went out to deal with the remaining criminals. The guy used guerrilla tactics to launch effective attacks before hiding again. Marie was able to check in on him since they created a party earlier on. She updated him on how the monster escaped deep into the spring. While they chatted, the boss used his detection skill to see through Marie's invisibility. He quickly gave the order for his men to apprehend her. The man from Japan tried to stop them, but it left him open to a fire attack from the boss. He narrowly managed to evade the brunt of the spell, but some of the bandits were not so fortunate. Given the level of that attack, Kitase knew that the boss was not your petty criminal. During that interval, Miui was recaptured. The leader knew that Kitase was too much of a good guy to let them harm the Catboy, and he was right because he transported to Miui's side. The bandit boss was sure that his skill had a weight limit, which is why he couldn't transport the lad to safety. Salaryman dropped his weapon to reduce his weight to a low enough level to leap off the cliff with Miui. The thud from the fall triggered the monster to resurface and destroyed the platform that the bandits were standing on. Miui cowered in fear as they expected the creature to attack them next, but it extended some tentacles. The Catboy recalled his grandfather talking about how their people were attacked by the creature shortly after they found the stone. Miui returned the magic stone to the monster. When he figured that it was the cause of its hostility, he also apologized for summoning it so often. The creature took its stone and returned to the earth, which opened the entrance to an underground labyrinth. Marie rushed over and instantly took a liking to Miui. Later that night, the Aralai army secured the newly discovered labyrinth. Miui got his wounds tended to, and the captain promised to protect the cat people since they would be needed if the magic stones can be mined again. He also wondered if this discovery was going to bring prosperity to their nation or be its downfall. Kitase was just excited to explore it. Word of the new discovery had soon spread around the Aralai kingdom. The royal family had already sent an advance party into the underground labyrinth. Since they discovered the dungeon, Kitase and Marie were given special permission by the kingdom to explore it. The elf was sure that the Sorcerers' Guild wouldn't allow her to participate given her current rank. The labyrinth would be considered extremely dangerous, so a high-level sorcerer would be dispatched to act as the guild's representative. Kitase considered declining the offer to explore the labyrinth if he couldn't do it with Marie. She felt like they should still take the permit and report back to the Sorcerers' Guild. Rydra overheard their conversation through the dragon scale she gave them. She never imagined they would open the gates to the labyrinth because it was a place of calamity. At her location, her eggs glowed brightly as they hatched. She wished Kitase and Marie witnessed it, as this was a once-in-a-thousand-year event. The duo returned to Japan where they had fancy toast for breakfast. Kitase felt like they should explore the labyrinth. They had a huge advantage of being able to go back to Japan to eat and recuperate every night. This meant that they wouldn't need to pack heavy. Marie recalled that there was a rule that allowed the discoverer of a labyrinth to do the investigation, but they must be accompanied by reliable allies. If they could prove that they had the skills to survive, she might be allowed to go. Kitase approved of the idea and left for work. While on the train, it dawned on him that they needed a new party member to act as their shield, because he and the elf were attack-orientated, so he began to have second thoughts. During that interval, Marie had cleaned the apartment and was amazed by how effective the cleaning equipment in the modern world was. She then studied some Japanese with the hopes of watching anime. I feel like we all had that goal at some point in our lives. The elf soon got hungry, but luckily for her, Kitase prepared a one-pot chicken dish for her to enjoy. All she had to do was put it in the oven to cook. She followed the instructions and began digging into her food while watching some anime. In that interim, Kitase got a message from Ichijo inviting him and Marie to join her and her husband for dinner. He accepted the invitation. That evening, they met with the married couple, and the husband was taken aback by how beautiful Marie was. A nudge from Ichijo brought him back to reality. The quartet went to a fancy French restaurant, where Kitase looked at the menu and was relieved that he could afford everything. Ichijo's husband insisted on taking care of the bill since they invited them out. Marie's taste buds exploded with joy as the numerous dishes came out. They had dessert in a private suite, where Ichijo also revealed her love for anime. Kitase wanted to send Marie to his grandfather's place because the scenery was just like one of the anime they watched. He wanted to get the elf used to traveling before that big trip, so the husband suggested they visit a hot spring resort, which was not too far from the city. The elf was interested in the trip, so Kitase asked the husband to make the booking for them. Ichijo wanted Marie to come over so that they could enjoy some of her anime movies together. The salaryman was a little weary, but he agreed. On the way home, the elf thanked him for taking the dinner invitation, as it gave her the courage to interact with new people. He too thanked her for coming into his life, because it had gotten better with her around. He also thought that they should allow the Sorcerer Guild's representative to explore the labyrinth till he was confident that they could navigate through it safely. The elf teased him for being too overprotective. The couple took a trip to the fantasy world and made it in time to hear the announcement of Hakam, who was the appointed commander of the labyrinth. He outlined the reports from the advance party, which stipulated that the labyrinth was vast and deep, but its full scale was still not known. Currently, the dungeon's difficulty had been estimated to be double A rank, although they suspected that it might even exceed this as they learn more. Everyone present got excited hearing this, because this meant that valuable treasures were likely inside. The Uja ruins were going to get sealed off due to the potential for magic stone mining, because the Aralai kingdom wanted to keep it for themselves. After the speech, Marie dragged him to see Master Aja, who was a renowned sorcerer. They wanted more information about what was going on behind the scenes. The old man recognized them as the discoverers of the labyrinth and offered them a seat. He told them everyone in the room had strong connections to the royal family, so they were given priority status to be the first to explore the new dungeon. Kitase understood the kingdom's worry about people taking magic stones without permission. Having trusted people around would help them develop the systems needed to manage this new asset. Aja was surprised by Kitase's wisdom given how young he looked. It's also disclosed that the cat people were the only race that could refine the magic stones. The old man informed them that records hardly mention anything about the stones. He suspected that someone deliberately erased the information before the conversation could get any deeper. He wished them the best of luck in their exploration and called Hakam over to give them their passes. The commander was happy to hear that they understood the limit of their own abilities and acknowledged that they would not be entering yet. They then left the meeting after securing their permit. The both of them later met up with Hakam to help him communicate with Miwi. They had provided him with his own workshop and living quarters. Marie was just happy to see him again. The cat lad thanked Kitase once more for all the help. The commander had a magic stone that was found by the advance party. He wanted Miwi to confirm if it was real. The cat boy touched the stone, and it glowed. It was weaker than the one he had, but he confirmed it to be original. Hakam excused himself to go report the findings to his superiors. He asked the salaryman to teach Miwi the human language. Marie complained about being hungry, so Kitase suggested they share their lunch with Miwi. He had never seen food like this before, but it was love at first bite. The lad ate till he almost entered a food coma. After the meal, the man from Japan brought out the dragon scale and stone for him to appraise. Miwi was amazed by them and stated that the energy within them couldn't be refined. Marie guessed that the items contained too much magical power. He could hear some words coming from them and disclosed that they were still connected to the source. The elf noticed that the light emanating from the items got weaker. They were worried that something happened to Ridra and decided to go see her. As that was going on, the Sorcerers Guild gathered its members to inform them about the discovery in the Aralai Kingdom and the upcoming approval which would allow them to explore the labyrinth. It was revealed that further discussion will continue when Marie returned with her report. As it stood, they couldn't give her permission to investigate a double A-rank labyrinth at her current level. For that reason, they would be appointing a substitute. Sven thought he should be that substitute because he believed himself to be the only one capable of handling anything that was double A ranking. Ludri let him know that there were many in the guild that were also capable, but they all seemed to have withdrawn their names. She was sure that he would do something to wreck their relationship with the Aralai Kingdom if he went. She proposed they just let the Discoverer investigate it. Sven was certain that Ludri only suggested this because Marie was her favorite pupil. The guild advisor repeated that the matter would be settled when Marie returns. He then ended the meeting. Sven was confident that he had already been chosen to be the substitute. His subordinate was so excited to explore an untouched labyrinth because of all the treasure waiting for them. However, Sven found it strange that Marie managed to find such a place in another country. He was sure that Kitase had something to do with it. Meanwhile, the duo returned to the dragon's nest and were speechless to see 3 baby dragons. Ridra entered her human form ready to eat a delicious meal, but she burst into tears when she found out that they already ate their lunch before coming. The salaryman felt guilty, so he invited her to Japan to enjoy the hot spring resort with them. She let them go and was excited for the trip. Marie berated Katase for being so reckless and told him to consult with her before doing anything in the fantasy world. They rushed to the guild for her to give her report. In the next couple of days they both were busy, but the weekend of the trip soon came. The duo went back to the Archdragon's nest to take Ridra along. Sven and his lackey appeared behind them to find out what they were up to. They were surprised to see him high-fiving a lizardman because it was supposed to be a savage monster. Sven and his lackey continued to tail them till they reached an area guarded by statues. The minion revealed that they were ancient weapons, so they couldn't proceed. Sven used a rare skill called Oracle to peek past the restriction where he saw the Archdragon and her offspring. Ridra noticed him spying on them and repelled him. She also activated the Guardians to deal with them. They managed to escape before getting crushed, and Sven wondered just who Katase was. Back inside the ruin, the trio went to bed and got transported to Japan. Upon their arrival, Ridra hid her horns and tail by turning it into her outfit while in this new world. They wasted no time and began their road trip to the hot springs. Ridra was amazed by the new sights, but got excited when some rice snacks were handed out for them to enjoy. The Archdragon liked it so much that she lay claim to the remaining snacks. They soon arrived at the resort, and Ridra was astounded to hear that Marie had to wear a hat to hide her ears, since elves didn't exist in Japan. Ridra used her power to disguise her ears, so she didn't have to wear the hat again. The elf was so grateful. They kicked off their stay with potato skewers. Ridra wasn't impressed with the look of them, but her tune changed once she tasted it. She gave a thumbs up of approval. The trio were later shown to their suite, and they went to the main bathhouse after unpacking. Ridra and Marie had their girl time where the dragon helped the elf come to terms with her feelings for Katase. She advised her to check if he felt the same by giving him a peck, because she would know from his reaction. Marie met with Katase and gave him that peck on his forehead, and the guy was flushed. They headed back to their room where Ridra threw a food tantrum so bad that the kids she just hatched would be embarrassed if they acted that way. Katase quickly ordered a meal for them, which went down with glowing reviews. After the food, the guy left the girls to rest while he sat out alone. He smiled and blushed again when he thought about the peck he got from Marie. The trio returned home after a relaxing time. Katase stopped along the road to place a blanket over a sleeping Marie. Ridra found the way he cared for her to be unorthodox, because she normally witnessed women being so tender with their partner. The topic quickly changed to the dragon complaining about not being invited to join their party to explore the ancient labyrinth. She started to cry, so Katase took another pit stop to calm her down. They shared a vending machine drink to change the mood. Katase was worried about the kids. The dragon revealed that her main body was taking care of them. Her current form only used one of her 7 dragon cores, so she would be fine traveling with them. Ridra was willing to be their shield if Katase provided her with elite-packed lunches. He agreed, and officially welcomed her to their party. He recalled that he hadn't conferred with Marie, but he was sure she would approve of the addition once she woke up. The trio later went back to the fantasy world, and Ridra was so refreshed from the trip to the hot springs. Katase and Marie asked her to hide the fact that she was an Archdragon by disappearing her horn and tail. They were going to the Sorcerer's Guild and didn't want to freak everyone out. As they proceeded, their path was blocked by Sven. Marie revealed him to be one of the highest-ranked sorcerers in the guild, but he didn't have a good reputation. Sven, who looks like a bootleg Frankie with a hint of Zorro, demanded to know how Katase erased his presence at the ruin, because it was not something normal humans were capable of. Katase was not impressed to learn that he was following them. Sven told him to shut up and answer his questions. He also wanted to know how he survived his encounter with the Archdragon, since the creature was strong enough to wipe out the whole continent. He didn't care about the answer, because he intended to eliminate the party before heading to the labyrinth where he planned to dominate and get rich. He ordered his minion to keep the ladies occupied while he finished off the salaryman. Ridra gave him a rare sword that could cut through anything without shattering. It was her way of saying thank you for the trip to another world. Marie tried to warn Katase of Sven's magic sword, but he shut her up with an attack. The subordinate took the girls away from the action. Meanwhile, Ludri gathered all the other sorcerers and played a live broadcast of what Sven was doing. She wanted them to decide if he was competent enough to act as their agent in the labyrinth exploration. At the location of the girls, Sven's lackey was a ghost tamer and summoned a number of forbidden monsters to deal with the ladies, but Ridra ate them all with her dragon body. The subordinate quivered in fear at her overwhelming power and surrendered. Elsewhere at the guild, everyone was worried for Katase since that was the fight they could see. The guy used his skills to dodge Sven's attacks, but the elite sorcerer figured out his transportation skill and its limitation. He used this knowledge to create an opening, which allowed him to land a devastating kick, which sent Kitase flying into the nearby river. Sven tried to finish him off while he was under the water, but he somehow managed to evade the blades. He resurfaced and got a pep talk from Ridra. She even offered to give him some training in the future. Sven used his oracle skill to see Ridra's true form. Kitase confronted him for their final exchange. The guy came in with a frontal attack that Sven blocked with his bare hands. He held Kitase in place and directed his blades to come in from both sides in a pincer attack. Kitase let go of his sword and dropped down before executing an uppercut kick that knocked Sven out. The sorcerers at the guild cheered and were stunned that he managed to defeat Sven. The trio then proceeded to the guild HQ, where they had a meeting with the leader. Marie was puzzled when her boss granted her permission to explore the labyrinth. He determined that her companions were strong enough to protect her. Ludri came in to congratulate her star student. A shocking disclosure left everyone speechless. Ridra and the guild leader were allies who once fought side by side in the past. They briefly reminisced about their troublemaking days, and the old man asked the Archdragon to allow him to deal with Sven and his subordinate. The trio later returned to the Aralai kingdom. They met with Miwi, who was terrified of Ridra because she was a dragon. They assured him that his life was not in danger. Ridra gave him special permission to process the bloodstone. With her guidance, they shaped it into a new staff for Marie, which she was grateful for. The duo looked forward to exploring the labyrinth with their new gear. They made their way to the entrance of the labyrinth and were impressed by how much it had changed since they were last there. The space around had been used as the base camp for all the adventurers, and a market had even been set up. Ridra teased the couple as she told them to go on a shopping date. Marie got embarrassed and dragged Kitase away for them to go buy supplies. They went to a merchant store to get a tent and tea, but the traders were arrogant and dismissive because Kitase looked young. The traders attempted daylight robbery by overcharging them for the goods when they learned that their customers were representatives from the kingdom of Alexei. Luckily, the merchant's scam was called out by Zira. From the dread on their faces, it was clear that he was a big deal. He told the vendors that the customers they were about to swindle are the discoverers of the labyrinth, so they should be giving them the best service since they are able to trade at this location because of their find. Zira got the tent for a good price and got his men to set it up for them. He even went as far as to furnish it for the trio. This was his way of saying thanks for finding the ancient labyrinth. He offered his help if they ever needed it. He even introduced them to Dula, the captain of the Andalusite team who was also a tea lover. She gave them a bottle of the best tea from Aralai. Night fell and the party settled in. They guessed that Zira must be wealthy given the quality of the furniture he borrowed to them. Ridra decided not to follow them back to Japan because she wanted to observe the other exploration teams. The couple woke up in the modern era, and Kitase managed to bring the tea from Aralai. He wanted them to use it to enjoy their fully loaded breakfast. They started to blush when they realized that this was the first time they had been alone in a while. As they cleaned up after the meal, Kitase suggested they cook something together since it was his day off. They went shopping to get the ingredients and had ice cream after. Marie wondered why Ridra didn't follow them back. He was sure that she wanted to give them space. The couple returned home to make a Japanese-style curry. The elf tried her best to help, but she was defeated by the crying power of the onion. Within a short while, the curry was ready, so the salaryman went to the other world and invited Ridra to join them for the meal. She couldn't reject the offer and demolished 2 days' worth of curry in one sitting. After the food, the couple expressed their excitement that Kitase's long holiday break was coming. They were going to take a bullet train to his grandpa's place. Ridra got upset learning that she wouldn't be joining them. They promised to send her on their next trip. The trio returned to the fantasy world. They went to the main tent to pay their respects to Master Aja and Hakam before they headed down. The commander was happy to see they managed to get permission. He was smitten when Ridra was introduced. Aja bumped Hakam on the head to recalibrate him. The old man then cast a spell that showed the layout of the labyrinth that was mapped out so far. They gave the trio a device that had the layout embedded in it. It also acted as a communication gadget. It was Aralai's custom for parties to name themselves using precious stone. Kitase chose to call themselves the Amethyst Team, which was inspired by the color of Marie's eyes. The trio were the last to be allowed into the labyrinth, and Marie lit up the area with her improved light spirit. Her new staff had unlocked a new skill that let her tame higher-level spirits. They were able to read a mural which told the story of the Age of Demons. Ridra could have given them more information, but she thought them finding out the details themselves was more exciting. The party proceeded to another area, and Marie expected there to be monsters so that she could level up her new staff. She was disappointed to find an empty room. it was revealed that other teams that passed through defeated them. Ridra decided to use this opportunity to train Kitasi, so she attacked him as he barely managed to defend himself. The party set up camp in one of the labyrinth's libraries, and before they went to bed, Ridra summoned a cat familiar because she could experience everything that it did. This was her way of joining them on their trip to visit Kitasi's grandpa. The couple woke up in Japan and quickly packed up before heading to the train station. Kitasi wanted Marie to stay close to him so that she wouldn't get missing. They bought bentos for the trip and gifts for his grandpa at the station shop. The elf was in awe at how fast the train moved once they boarded. She showed Ridra the flashing sights. They then decided to eat their bentos. They gave some to the cat so that Ridra would also get a taste. Kitasi and Marie had a moment when he fed her some of the items in his bento. After the train ride, they took a bus to the next drop-off point. As they traveled, Kitasi felt nostalgic as he and Marie enjoyed the views, although his childhood memories were not that clear. The cat was given a chance to stretch its legs when they exited the bus. They walked the remaining distance to the house. The grandpa was so happy to see Kitasi and was surprised by how much he had grown. He was impressed with Marie's Japanese when she introduced herself. The guy also gave the old-timer a gift, which he appreciated. He was more shocked that his grandson had brought such a beautiful girl home and joked about her being from a dream world. The couple tensed up as they found that the joke was too close to the truth. He played with the cat as they paid their respects to his deceased grandmother. Marie was worried that the senior citizen might know about the dream world. Kitasi didn't think so, and thought that he was just a perceptive old man. The elf explored the house a little before they were called for food. Marie salivated just looking at the hot pot. Grandpa gave them the go-ahead to dig in. The elf and Ridra loved what they were tasting. Drinks were even poured for them to wash the hot food down with. The couple cleaned up after the meal and went on a night walk. The moonlight and Kitasi's phone didn't do a good enough job of lighting the area, so Marie evoked the light spirits, and they answered for the first time since she had arrived in Japan. The place was illuminated, and she was surprised to learn that she had been pronouncing Kitasi's name wrong this whole time because he misspelled it when he first arrived in the fantasy world. They both got embarrassed when she started calling him by his real name. The granddad could feel the tension when they returned and laughed at their fledgling romance. They later went to bed. His grandpa came to give him a torchlight and caught them traveling to the other world. He seemed to be already aware of his journeys because he told them to have fun over there. Ridra was waiting for them and fangirled with Marie over the hot pot they just ate. Kitasi got them excited when he stated that there was a hot spring bath within walking distance of his granddad's house. The ladies wanted to train and work up a sweat because taking a bath after rigorous exercise was the best feeling. They were back in Japan to enjoy the hot springs. Ridra the cat started to cry when she was stopped by Grandpa from following them. The facility would not allow a pet to enter, but she broke free from the old man and tailed the couple. They were surprised to see her, but luckily the receptionist had a cat who also loved hot springs, so she allowed Ridra the cat to enter and bath in a little bowl, after which they returned home and took Grandpa's truck to go sightseeing. The region's cherry blossom season was later than Tokyo. Marie was joyful that she got to experience it again. They took some nice pictures to have as memories, and the elf was amazed by the technology of the smartphone. They then went to see a historical castle, where Marie and Ridra got inspired by the military knowledge on display. The salaryman got a little worried that they would use it to conquer the other world, so he redirected them to a lookout room. He recalled his grandparents bringing him there when he was younger. They got a fried snack from the food stands outside and devoured it. The flower spirits felt like playing matchmaker and created a cherry blossom petal blizzard. One of the petals landed on Marie's lips. He went in to brush it off, which ended up with them exchanging a smooch. Later that night, they briefly spoke about it and confessed to one another that it was their first. The granddad noticed that Marie was in good spirits as she helped him do the dishes. He commented on how well she got along with Kitasi, to the point that they looked like childhood friends. The senior citizen decided to show her old photos of Kitasi. He spoke about how the guy didn't smile much, so he never imagined he would see Kitasi so happy. He also remarked on how his grandson used to sleep so much that they felt bad waking him up. He thanked her for putting that smile on his face. The pensioner assured her that she didn't need to worry about anything while she was in his house, and she could be her true self. The spirits untied her hair to reveal her elf ears. A seasoned man like Grandpa had learned to accept the mysteries of the world as they are. The salaryman used to tell him about his adventurous dreams when he was younger, so he knew she was an elf. Marie hugged him as she got emotional. Kitasi came out of the bath and was happy to hear them getting along so well. He started to panic when he realized that Marie's ears were out. He tried to alert her to it, but they just laughed at him. They spent a couple more days with the old man till it was time to say goodbye. The grandpa had so much fun and asked them to come visit him again. Marie hugged and thanked him for his hospitality and understanding. Kitase was not sure how much his grandpa knew about the other world, but he was just happy that he knew Marie's identity. The couple arrived in Tokyo and walked home holding hands into the sunset as they discussed what they were going to cook.